Hello and welcome to King County at your service. I'm Enrique Cerna. What's your daily commute like? Can you watch the sunrise on the water, sail over Puget Sound, and feed the seagulls? Well, if you ride King County's water taxi, you can do all of that. Adam Jefferson takes us on a ride with one of the ship's captains.
It's a busy port, so you get to know ferry schedules, ferry routes. You get to recognize tugboats and towboats, and you get an idea of what they're up to, what job they're on, and how you can best be courteous to other vessels on the water. We're going to come around behind the Coast Guard cutter. A couple local tugboats.
It's like West Track 2 will be following the...
We communicate by radio with all these other vessels, so everybody has a real clear idea of what everybody else's business is. And we try to keep it very neighborly out here in Elliott Bay. So this is a remote, sort of a remote control. We call it the Xbox from time to time. In any case, I can operate the vessel. I can drive the vessel right now using this remote. So we have a couple throttle levers for our main engines. This is sort of the jet rudder, so to speak. And my guys are down here casting off lines right now. Much safer to have me on the wing, the side of the boat, looking down, docking from there than docking from the center station where I can't see my deckhands. We get the opportunity here at the water taxi for all the guys to work with each other. Seasonally, the crews change up a bit, so you do get the opportunity to work with everybody and get to know everybody really well. This is a very professional crew, so we admire and respect each other and the experience that each person brings to the water taxi. That's the thing about mariners. We all have something in common that drew us to these jobs, and that makes it easy to be around each other. I would say that there are some very important things that we like to follow here at the water taxi, sort of guiding principles, so to speak. And those would be safety of our passengers and crew, security of our vessels and facilities, and providing excellent customer service. And when we follow those guidelines, the last principle falls into place, and that would be staying on schedule. So that's pretty much the water taxi in a nutshell. Have a good one. See ya. Thanks.
Thank you, and enjoy your ride aboard the King County Water Taxi.
Are you a poetry fan? Well, if you commute on a rapid ride bus, be on the lookout for some new inspiring words. And as Jeff Gentis tells us, it might just remind you of home.
If you're a regular bus rider here in King County, you may have noticed your daily commute has a more homey feel. It's all part of a huge public art campaign organized by King County's For Culture called Poetry on Buses. And what you see displayed in a bus might go something like this.
We are home and away, in windows and doors. We are strangers and friends, distant yet near. We are the wind's rival, howling toward home.
Having poems in our bodies, sort of experiencing what poems can do, and then getting to know people. Whether you're going to be sitting on the bus and looking up and reading somebody's poem and seeing a little bit of yourself, or maybe seeing something that's totally unlike you and feeling maybe an opportunity to connect with them.
The theme of the county-wide campaign is Riding Home.
What is the first image when I say the word home? What do you see?
Community engagement with this year's Poetry on Buses began in spring of 2014 with a series of neighborhood gatherings, especially reaching out to Somali, Vietnamese, Russian, and Spanish-speaking communities. This group turned a poem into a song, a creative way to really raise their collective voice, a main goal of the Poetry on Buses project.
It is a surprise to me that we don't have a stronger voice in all that is happening here in Seattle.
An Phan was one of the key organizers in the Vietnamese community.
To make sure that we do have a stronger voice in everything. Whenever I thought of home, I feel like I loved that my parents even more for all the hard work they did when we were young. Memories. Before age 11, home was an old wooden house. Dad just came home, tired, sweaty, but smiling. Dinner is ready, everyone, Mom shouted. Days of innocence. We munched away happily. The greens and rice prepared by loving hands. Later, we fell asleep, listening to the rain. Drip, drop, drip, drop. Autumn Stirs Memories by Yan Lam. Autumn has arrived, here and there leaves of gold fall.
Here in a recording studio, Phan translates one of her community elders' poems, and the author performed her original poem in Vietnamese.
Mùa thu đến lá vàng rơi lác đác khắp mặt đường.
The melody of a first song vibrates through the cochlea's staircase. Return to whatever you never.
This is just one of dozens of English and multilingual poems recorded for the campaign.
Y regreso a esa nación que es mi hogar.
And that's out of hundreds of poems generated over the last several months. So many that the Poetry for Buses website is premiering a new poem each day for an entire year.
What's up, King County? Are y'all ready for some poetry?
At the November launch party, the Moore Theater was packed with people from all over King County who came together to hear the results of months of work.
Honestly, it boils down to two words: poetry and community. The buses have launched, the website has launched. Now people on their ride or people anywhere can listen to the poetic voices of King County.
Instant messenger. Don't let not knowing who to mail it to stop you from sending praise. Just drop gratitude anywhere, everywhere. It'll get where it's going.
Some of the poems were read. Some poems performed. And some poems were put to improvised music.
We too handsome.
So for all you writers out there, I want to let you know that your work is going to have significant exposure. And that's the big thing. We provide nearly 55,000 rides every single day on the Rapid Ride lines.
Poetry is now on the move in Rapid Ride buses crisscrossing King County. Select stations are homes to poems as well. Take time to drink in the words from so many walks of life.
Every summer, my parents would send me to Honolulu. Kick, kick, kick. Oh, sorry I kicked your seat back. The stewardess would bring me Cokes anyway, and a special Pan Am wing pin. Wheels down, aloha. The Hawaiian heat hugged me close. Grandma always greeted me with, "You come fat."
If you're a Jimi Hendrix fan, there's a Metro bus shelter in the Central District that you're going to love.
It'd be nice if Jimmy was playing in the background. You know what I'm saying?
We came up with the idea, we being the Friends of Jimi Hendrix Park, in partnership with Jimi Hendrix Park Foundation, decided to do a photo mural to add additional representation of Jimi Hendrix in the central area since he grew up in this neighborhood.
Metro and the park all kind of came together, and one of my employees, Steve Peasant, designed the bus shelter with all the photographs of Jimmy from childhood on up to his adulthood.
but his music was fantastic. It was chaotic. It reflected rebellion and that things have got to change. And because of that, he had a profound impact, not only on the whole country, but on the whole world.
He was a hard-working musician to become a magician, and he's inspired me and many, many people.
I managed the bus shelter mural program, started it about 25 years ago. It's a way to get kids to have a proprietary interest in Metro bus shelters and a way to reduce vandalism, graffiti, make them a more part of the community.
And he's got a Jimmy shirt on. In his song, Spanish Castle Magic, he talks about Spanish Castle being a venue where he would play and how it took a half a day to get there by Dragonfly. And what he was talking about was the bus.
It's very far away. It takes about half a day to get there if we travel by Dragonfly.
Did you know the sheriff's deputies that patrol the King County Airport are police officers, trained firefighters, and emergency medical techs? As editor Brian Starr shows us, the ARF unit trains to be ready for anything.
Attention all units, inbound 737 reporting smoke in the cabin, 20 souls on board, 30,000 gallons of fuel.
The scenario for the drill is an aircraft that experiences trouble in the air. They declare an emergency. It doesn't land successfully. It slides off the runway. It cracks up.
We have a 737 that crashed. I need you to start a 20-person MCI.
Well, our ARF unit will respond to the scene. We'll put out the fire.
Okay, all units, yeah, fire knockdown. Fire knockdown.
Also start treating casualties that are inside the aircraft and possibly on the ground. Drill is also designed to do is for the airport to start calling in mutual aid, and that will be in the form of South King County fire agencies. The best thing about these type of drills is that we get better the more we do them. We have to be prepared, ready. We need to have a plan, put it in place in case it does happen. This will be a very rare event. Aviation is generally very safe. However, we still have to practice in the eventuality or possibility that this could occur.
Have you ever met someone who inspires you by the way they do everyday things? We want to introduce you to John Sharp, as Kimberly Hill tells us he makes some pretty challenging jobs look easy.
A multi-ton packer at King County's Renton Transfer Station. Imagine running it with just one arm.
The leg piece also goes to my leg and the stick, and that's how I move the stick side to side.
John Sharp lost his arm in a motorcycle accident in 1999.
This was just a picture of the motorcycle that I wrecked.
At the time, he worked as a truck driver for King County's Solid Waste Division.
When I was just a little kid, I rode around in the truck with my dad, or I rode around on the loader with him, or all I wanted to be was a truck driver.
But the accident changed many things.
I just tried to keep moving on. You know, I had good family, good friends. They were always there for me. Him and his wife were great people, and we rode all over the country together.
And that support paid off. John's uncle designed a special prosthesis to help John operate an excavator and other machinery.
I got into the disability reassignment program, and so all this stuff was made so I could actually run the equipment.
Basically, we went shopping to the sailboat stores and found parts and pieces, drew up the plans, and then the department that he works in has access to welders and those type of people, and they were able to manufacture what he needed to be able to operate the machinery.
They made everything that I had better. You know, they hired a company to make it, you know, so allowed me to do all that. That hook's there, so when I want the stick to go that way, I pull that way. I want to go side to side, I go just like so.
And those improvements helped in other ways. John was able to get back on a Harley.
I went to a trike, a three-wheeler. Allowed me to keep riding. It's something that I can do, that I love to do, that I've always done. And it's something that I can do by myself because, I don't really fish anymore because, I don't like, you don't like to do stuff you have to ask help for.
After another back surgery, John now works inside.
Good morning, Annette.
Good morning, John.
Because of his not having an arm and because of the back injury, it was difficult for him to use the computer. So we installed voice-activated software for him with a special microphone.
PM overtime only. The county did this as accommodation, the Dragon software, and then they did the sit-stand workstation for me, so it allows me to stand up, as my back gets bad.
I mean, it's good for employees to be able to remain at work. It prevents them from falling into a disability rut. Financially, it's almost always advantageous for people to continue to be able to work throughout their career and become eligible to retire.
I was granted disability, I didn't have to come back to work. I needed the routine. I needed to get out and work. Everybody I've ever met with a disability has done some amazing stuff, I don't feel like I'm a disabled person. I mean, you look in the mirror and you see it, or there's things you can't do, but I mean, that's not what's on my mind.
Wedding and special event venues, they can be pricey and hard to book. But Kimberly Hill tells us about an amazing value-price venue here in King County that will surprise you.
Lovely outdoor patios, gardens, large indoor meeting spaces. It all adds up to an ideal venue for a wedding. Right next to the Brightwater treatment plant?
I know, weddings at Brightwater. A lot of people have asked, really, next to a wastewater treatment facility? Well, it is next to a wastewater treatment facility, but the Brightwater Center it's its own place.
A community place designed and built for people to use.
The community asked for it. People really wanted this beautiful space that we can see. It's a park, natural area. It's also an event space, and it's also an education center.
Today, kids in summer camp learning about dragonflies.
Get those wings warmed up. All right, let's go. We're gonna fly back over all the way to the side.
But what makes it a good wedding venue?
A few things. One, people love sort of the natural area here. And whether you get married outside, we have some lovely garden spaces, or inside where it's overlooking our ponds. People really love that aspect. They love that we have trails here. Another thing people really love is they just love the way the building looks. It's kind of industrial and funky because it is a LEED Platinum certified building, which means it's pretty much at the highest standard of sustainability. So people really like that fact.
They also like the indoor spaces.
We have one big large room here. We can have up to 260 people in this room, all comfortably seated for all kinds of different events, whether it's an anniversary party, conference, or even a wedding.
There's a large kitchen if you want to cook or cater your event. An exhibit space for perhaps an educational cocktail party. But is there a fragrance associated with the treatment plant?
Everybody always wants to know about the smell. Does it smell? No, it actually doesn't smell. And so much so that the first wedding booking that we had, they didn't actually realize they were on a wastewater treatment plant.
And there's another big factor.
The cost. You can't not talk about cost. It's pretty cheap in comparison, There's a lot of venues. If this venue, kind of the space size and the outside space was, just down the road in Woodinville, maybe some of those wineries, it would be, 5, 10 times maybe the cost.
So if you're in the market for beautiful patios, gardens, public art, large sustainable spaces, all with an environmental vibe, Brightwater Center is for you. And there's another plus.
The great thing is that any of the money that comes to us from that, it goes right back into teaching these education programs, and we offer those education programs for free for school kids.
Okay, so we know you enjoyed the views from the water taxi from our earlier story. Editor Alan Coleman takes another look at a sunrise commute, but he sped up the video just a little bit, so buckle up and enjoy the ride. Thanks for joining us for King County at Your Service. I'm Enrique Cerna. We'll see you next time.